we remain in siloed divisions, we're going to fumble and ping pong our customer all across their experience with us. And that, we believe, is not what we need to do or what noise we should be creating in the market.
Well, hello and welcome to the Healthtech Marketing Podcast, brought to you by Health Launchpad and HIMSS. Hi, I'm Adam Trinas. I'm the CEO and founder of Health Launchpad. And I want to start off by giving a big thank you to my partner in this endeavor, the awesome HIMSS. And also a big thank you to you for joining us here today. And our aim is to provide you something that you'll find helpful in the work that you do as health tech marketing people, health tech sales and marketing people. And the reason why we do it is that, as we all know, there really isn't a category which is as hard to sell and market in as healthcare. It's incredibly difficult. And so our aim with this podcast is to give you advice and insights that can help you in your day-to-day work. And we do that through these interviews that we're doing with these awesome marketing leaders in the health tech space. And I'm so delighted to have today as my guest, Mr. Ryan Grable. Ryan is a long-term technology marketing guy. He's worked in other categories other than healthcare, but he's also worked a lot in healthcare. And so he's got a really interesting perspective in that regard. And so he's the SVP of marketing for PerfectServe. They are a leader in the clinical communications and collaboration space. And I can tell you, having been up against them in my own health tech company, they are a formidable competitor, but also a company I've had just so much respect for. And I'm lucky to be working with them too. So Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam.
Great to have you on. So listen, to start off, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a bit about PerfectServe.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just hit my 1 year at PerfectServe, and I said, this has probably been one of the greatest joys of my career, being able to serve such a mighty, not just a marketing organization, but a company that is passionate and dedicated to our customers, to focus on how we can better communicate and deliver collaboration with each other in the clinical space, as well as to their patients and families. And so to be able to be a part of that and create that vision and think through the innovative ways of opening the doors is remarkable and something that I'm proud to do. Before coming to PerfectServe, I've spent my career really inspired and amazed by marketing, demand generation, revenue marketing, aligning with sales. I truly believe that the content we create, the channels we go to market, and the ways that we engage, from timing to days to all those interaction points, matters. And what we should do is we should identify ways that we can, as an organization, help our customers and prospects understand who we are, how we can help them solve their problems. Instead of just trying to pitch a product, we're really trying to help them do their jobs better, faster. That's going to help them achieve their results and their goals. And I always think through that lens as the end result and objective of what we need to build and what we need to bring to market. And so I've been able to do that by hiring strong marketers that think differently, that love to be innovative and passionate. And I would say the third thing is care about the customers they serve, and always think about what they can do differently every day to help at the end of the day the people that we work with deliver what they do and do best.
And you've built a wonderful team there. You've got a great bunch of folks on board. Now you've been in the technology space for quite a while, and not just in healthcare and other categories as well. What do you think? What do you think that is the same, and what do you think some of the key differences are in healthcare? Like, as you when you stepped away from, I think you were doing something before. What you were doing before was not actually in healthcare. So it's like, when you cross that, you cross the Rubicon there. What's different?
It's a great question. At the end of the day, I think there's a lot of repeatable, scalable processes that connect technology. We enable people to solve their problems and help them communicate, connect, and engage. So I've partnered with, worked for several different companies in the technology space, from customer experience technology to board of director technology to even, remote support collaboration tools that can connect people to healthcare, working for an EHR company to now working in a clinical collaboration technology. What I've learned over my time is it all starts with learning your customer and understanding, no matter who they are, do you know who the customer that you're serving actually is, what they're trying to do and what they try to solve. Also, I think as marketers, we sometimes try to create that annual plan, and it's January. And so we're probably all starting the year with this annual plan. And the one thing I would say that COVID taught us very well is never count farther than you can really see the vision to, which may actually be a couple of weeks, could be a right. quarter.
Yeah.
And so being agile is critical. And that's what I've seen across all these organizations that I've partnered with in the technology space. It's how do you not just talk about product and the product features and the benefits, but how do you talk about the problems your solution solves? Where does it connect in their integrated experience of systems and processes that they use as an end user? And what results and value is it going to bring? And that's what I've done. Now, I will say, I think one thing that's super exciting, I've always said to myself, I would never be a B2C marketer. I love B2B.
I'm the same.
Well, I feel things are changing. And imagine if we could bring the B2C concepts, which we are, to the B2B world. And we could go ahead and enable our buyers and our influencers in that decision group with the right channels, the right content, or the right place at the right time. So we're enabling them to be faster, to understand the concept, to understand the content. And we're not just trying to fill them with lots of thought leadership, but we're actually trying to guide them and be that source of value, I think is phenomenal. So
that's
really, super excited.
That's a really interesting insight. It's like, how do you, so the B2C purchase, typically, unless it's buying a house, it's typically purchases they're pretty short life cycles. I mean, often instantaneous. But if you're buying something like a TV or a car, that's that's a considered purchase that takes a while. But in healthcare, I don't know. I imagine your average life cycle, your average life cycle is many months, maybe even years. How do you deliver on that sort of, that kind of notion, that way of engaging and keeping a customer engaged for that length of time? How do you do that in healthcare?
Yeah, it is. You're bringing a great point, right? The beauty of our work is the sales cycle, yes, is months, right? And can be up to a year, right? Depending on the organization's goals and objectives, budgeting, fiscal responsibilities, like all those pieces. But what I've learned is, and this is where I think like that B2C piece comes in, is if we truly know the stage of the buying process and we know what steps that buying group and decision makers have to go through, then we're enabling and equipping them with tools and resources and questions that not only should they be asking themselves, but maybe they need to be asking the rest of the organization. They may be collaborating with end users that are actually going to now take this product and be the users of it. I think we also, through that buying process, are helping to equip them with what's the thought process on how you onboard? How do you ensure usability of the technology? Because I think many organizations, and I think as marketers, we have thousands of technologies we can buy today to help us, do better, right? The reality is if you are, as a marketer, have those technologies siloed, or you've only implemented maybe one feature, but really there's so much robustness behind that resource, we're doing ourselves a disservice, and we're probably spending more money versus getting the true ROI out. So I would rather take the time up front to say, we're not trying to sell a healthcare organization a product. We're setting ourselves up to be their vendor partner that's with them through the entire experience, pre, during, and post, that we're going to partner to say, how do we continue to elevate you with these tools that connect and, overarch across other technologies? Because I think in today's world, integrations and partnerships with other vendors is now a must-have and not a nice-to-have, to ensure that everybody's getting the best results. And so, the one thing I would say is I think channels matter as well. And so a great example is just a couple of days ago, we had an individual reach out on Facebook Messenger. I think the first thought process would be, well, why don't we just go ahead and send them a link to have them fill out the request a demo form on our website, right? So that's the process you should follow, is have them fill out a form. And so here we are we incorporate every channel through our marketing process. And so wherever they engage and reach out, that's how we want to respond and engage. And so we create that dialogue. And I think that's, when I think about B2C, I think about it from the standpoint of, man, serve me where I am. And I want to serve our B2B customers exactly in the channels where they are as well.
It's very interesting. It's almost like the automotive market, which is sort of the notion of, I think the way you to paraphrase what you're saying is that they think about not just selling metal, but also selling, essentially acquiring a long-term relationship with a customer.
Exactly.
And then thinking about how to serve that customer at every stage, whether they're becoming a customer for the first time or trying to get them to, upgrade to the next car or whatever it happens to be. So it's a very interesting way of thinking about it, and the way they use technology in that regard as well. So I want to switch gears, because there's something, kind of interesting, and I think a little different about PerfectServe and the journey your company's been on for the last few years. So, PerfectServe's been around for about 15, 20 years, something like that, right? But
20 years,
but relatively recently acquired 3 companies that were adjacent, and in one actually acquisition, it was sort of it quite almost overlapping quite strongly. So how did how have you handled the sort of the brand related issues with that?
Yeah. So absolutely. So 3 years ago, we, as PerfectServe, set out on this journey to identify these organizations that we could acquire that would help complement our solutions and the market, and being a solid vendor of this unified healthcare communication collaboration space. And so what we did when we acquired them, we wanted to keep each of the organizations almost as standalone businesses, but still under the PerfectServe roof. And that's because we first said, let's be customer first. So anytime through an acquisition, a customer experience can feel uneasy. And we said, in the healthcare world, that's the last thing we want to do. And so we're going to take this over a period of time. And so as a marketing organization, we had a go-to-market strategy for each of our relative products / brands that you want to, however you want to define it. And we went to market because each of those solutions targeted and provided value that was unique to the buying, to a specific market. And so we did that. We went to market with 3 to 4 different brands at times.
Yep.
And to align that, it kept the customer understanding where their product was headed, what we're trying to do, and how we continue to support them as their challenges and obstacles continued to be faced, and like where they wanted to head and the decisions they wanted to make. What I would say the lesson that we learned as I came on board was taking 3 to 4 products to market consistently and equally is not easy all the time, right? And when you're trying to prioritize, there's not much prioritization. All boats have to rise.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? And how do you continue to put budgets and spend in equal categories? And so it was challenging, but what we said is, you know what, our customers is the starting point where we want to start with, right? And face. So this year was a year that we said, now's the time that we have our organizations, we have our products, we're going to bring this together and really go to market with a singular brand. So our customers can start understanding the full organizational value and partnership that they all, no matter what product they were a part of, this is now the value you have access to.
Yep.
That's going to help you deliver that best patient experience through communication and collaboration.
And you're now moving, you've got the next phase of this, right? I get it. So you, for the first 2 years, let your customers get used to the fact that it's the same it's the same service, the same people in many regards. The company's changed, but the company is transitioning the relationship without affecting them. In fact, we're just bringing more, not taking away. Now you're trying, exactly. you're changing it up. And so talk a bit about where you're going with that as much as you can without giving away too much competitive information. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So first half of this year, we really aligned our brand. So as a marketer and as a marketing team, we brought our brand together internally to align our teams and to unite us as a single front, knowing that we're really focusing on delivering the best experience in the healthcare space around unified healthcare communication collaboration. As we continued forward, and grateful to be able to work with partners, such as you as well, Adam. You helped us do this. Is we really wanted to bring to market a platform. So how do we bring all of our products under a single platform that can help not only our customers, but our prospects and the market understand that the acquisitions that we have done have allowed us to create a platform that accelerates speed to care. And it starts with making sure that our scheduling business, that we're able to ensure that our healthcare providers are at the right place at the right time, scheduled most appropriately, and able to do the job that they are served to do, to then being able to connect people together, helping to connect our clinicians and our healthcare workers together, internal, which inside the walls as well as outside the walls, to communicate with patients and their families most effectively. And in today's world, we are living both in walls of hospitals and healthcare systems, and we've transitioned quite a bit into the virtual care experiences. And so at no matter time and place, we want to ensure that communication can be delivered easily, quickly, and safely, so that the patient and the care team around them is accelerating that opportunity as quick as possible. And I'll share that where I believe PerfectServe is tightly aligning here is we are continuing to be that vendor partner of choice that's doubling down on this market space.
Yep.
So while we live in a healthcare world filled with acquisitions and a lot of experiences that are taking place, this is one area that PerfectServe, we're proud to say that we continue to align with our partners and our customers to say, this is the space that we hone in on because we have that 20 plus years of experience.
Yes. Yep.
So let us do what we know best. And then we can collaborate with the integrations and other technologies that our partners want to work with to ensure that they are, they're being innovative.
Yep.
And that they're helping to solve those challenges that they face on a daily basis.
You know, having been in the space, I mean, there was a time when there were well over 100 vendors. I remember one of the competitors giving a presentation at HIMSS and saying, you know what, we counted competition, we counted all the people who were doing some form of secure texting as the category used to be known as, right? And then I'm going back about seven years now. And they said they got to 100 and stopped counting. And it's really consolidated. I mean, I'm certainly, my company was one, you know, we sold our company 2.5 years ago. It's consolidating down to a much smaller group. And, you know, I think it's Gartner that always sort of says, you know, that any one category is usually dominated by two players and maybe a third one is a fast follower. And I can certainly see that you're going to be, you know, you are all going to be one of those two, because you've specialized in it. And the acquisitions that you've done are complementary. And so it's really interesting sort of being part of, you know, working with you over the last few months of telling that Unite story has been really interesting. So you've got this platform that's got, you know, around PerfectServe Unite, which is partly a technology story, but also, as you say, it's about promoting your commitment to the space. I also sort of think, you know, I got the sense is that it's as much as anything is for your own staff. Is that true as well, do you think?
Absolutely. PerfectServe Unite was that opportunity for us to align internally as well. And we've done a lot of great work to evaluate all the end-to-end touch points of a customer journey, right? Because at the end of the day, we can create the best technology, we can sell the best technology, we can market our best technology. But if we remain in siloed divisions, we're going to fumble and ping pong our customer all across their experience with us. And that, we believe, is not what we need to do or what noise we should be creating in the market. So we launched PerfectServe Unite to unite our entire company around what is our mission and our vision to really, our mission is always focused on coming back and saying, we want to bring joy back to caregivers, right? Like that to me, like if we can make the care professionals happy and bring joy back to the work that they do and the reasons why they signed up to do the job that they do, that brings joy back to all of us as employees as well, because we know that we're helping to serve that experience. So that's, when you think about a mission, like that's what we signed up to do. And in the world of technology, and especially a lot of startup technologists, like they're focusing on just creating and building a product that will do great stuff. And that we need, but it needs to be a piece of this journey. So PerfectServe Unite allows us to come together. It allows us to align our marketing organization, our message, our brand, all the way through the customer experience, that when we're onboarding clients, we now have consistent experiences across the board. We have consistent customer success and our customer engagement teams are working together to ensure that all members of a healthcare organization understand all that we do. And see the value and can use the value to ensuring that our products, right? Like being able to cross collaborate on innovation, and innovation, not only from the technology standpoint, but the way that we communicate and engage and market. There's so much potential and talent that we identified and realized we had within PerfectServe, that we said, to do more and be better with our customers, to bring that joy back, we need to unify our entire company together. And that, I think, is what's motivating us as we go into 2022, because we feel that sense of PerfectServe Unite pride of what we do and how we connect it.
It's interesting that I think that you, as a company, one of the things which is sort of a manifestation of your brand also is that many of the folks that are sort of senior level, VPs and above, are clinicians, RNs. I'm thinking, Kelly and Julie, and also Rodrigo as an MD. And so, not only does that bring subject matter expertise to bear, but it also brings real empathy, right? Because they can make sure that the technologists, the software developers and the marketing teams really understand how you're making life better, not just for the patients, but for the clinicians, so that you can understand the impact that you're having. So it's very interesting watching all of this come together and seeing how you're transforming it. So Ryan, this has been a great conversation. I've learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody listening to this will have done so as well. Now, as I warned you, I've got a closing question for you that I ask everybody, and it's, if you could go back in time, if you could get in the DeLorean that takes you back to the future, and you could go back to any moment in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, Adam, you warned me, and I believe that is probably it's one of the greatest questions that we should always challenge ourselves to ask, because I think it's also a piece of advice that we all have something unique that we can continue to share with all those around us, as we continue to mentor, not only the younger generation that's growing into and going to be leading this world soon, but also all those around us that engage and want to think differently about what we can do going forward. So one thing I wish I would tell my younger self would be to listen more. When you are able to take a step back and listen to what your customer has to say, the problems that they truly are facing, your employees are excited and motivated to try and do, and what the market is saying you can adapt and change your strategies to deliver value versus just delivering on the commitments and promises that you think are important versus what's actually going to matter to those that need to use and engage with your organization to do the job that they do. So that's why I take a step back and say, listen.
It's very good.
That is very valuable.
It's a very strong piece of insight. It's something which, I've been working for God knows how many years, and I constantly have to remind myself. In fact, when I've got a sheet that I used when I was selling software, and now as soon as I'm building this business, and it starts this sort of system of questions to sort of get discussions going, but sort of understand sort of what the problem is. And I've got in capitals at the top, listen, because, it doesn't matter whether you're selling or leading, the most important part of your body are your ears. So that's a terrific piece of insight, Ryan. I appreciate it. So thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend this today. I know how busy you are, and it's really appreciated. And I want to thank everybody who's listening today for taking the time to listen. And I'm sure this has been helpful to you. Just a sort of closing remarks, just to say, if you're watching the video, you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or whatever your favorite podcast player is. And if you're listening to this, you can watch the video too, and the videos in the show notes. So I want to close by once again thanking Ryan for his time and to thank you all for listening.